Hello guys, welcome back with another Sick West video, and today we have a special guest. His name is Darthneo. He's going to help me today with the new tier list that we're doing. And I posted a tier list before about a couple months ago for the PvE, so this is just basically us doing another one because Sage came out and there was a lot of buffs and nerfs for certain classes, so I thought it was best to start a new tier list today. You can say what's up, Dart.
Hey. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of buffs that came out, especially for PvE in recent weeks here.
Yes, well, you already know as I am a HASHAHSHIN main, I've been playing a lot of Succession and Awakening. And at first, when I first started playing him, it was a little difficult to understand how he really works. But I've gotten quite well with him and gotten really good with him, and I can say he's really up there.
Yeah, you know what? I was like that with, because I'm Sorceress main, and I was like that with my Awakening too. She's, her Succession did seem to do better at lower skill point levels, but when you do get up the more skill points, because I know HASHAHSHIN's like this too. Both of those two, I actually just call them brother and sister, honestly.
Yes, a lot of people do.
Yeah, because they're both like two of the hardest classes to play in the game. And they're both relatively on par with their Succession and Awakening, and they're both well-rounded classes as well. But yeah, her Awakening did start to get way better when I got to higher skill point levels, like 1600 or so.
Oh, yeah, she started doing way more damage. Because I've been told that you've been soloing trees by yourself recently, right?
Yeah, especially, yeah, I have been bringing it out there to solo with trees. I haven't done it when I got the Black Star. I haven't done it yet since I got the Black Star there. I wanted to try to get it to Tet before I actually go out there.
Oh,
yeah,
makes sense.
Maybe even before we get to the 261 bracket.
Ooh, I'm close there myself. But before we say too much on some of these classes, let's get started with the tier list. So like I always say, take these tier lists as a grain of salt. Don't think that this is just our experience with the classes and what we dealt with and what we've seen. So don't take it to a personal level. Like, you know, if you main a certain class and you feel like they deserve to be in a higher tier, you know, put it down in the comments below, and you know, we'll take a look at it, and you know, we'll see what we miss. But just take this as a grain of salt, and you know, just have fun with the tier list. So we're doing a PvE tier list today. So we're gonna start off with the Archer. Dart, did you want to start off first?
Sure. The Archer. When I played him, he's very. I feel as though, and I've heard this from a lot of beginner players especially, a lot of beginner players are really turned away from him, actually, because of the fact that he starts with his Awakening from the start. So you kind of have to learn how to fully play him from the moment you get him. And so a lot of newer players are turned off by that. Because he's kind of difficult to actually learn. However, even though he is difficult to learn, he's actually fairly easy to master, at least comparably to his sister, which we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
He's honestly very good. He's also a well-rounded class. He's always been good. I know he's always been one of the highest ones for PvE 1v1 large scale. He's always been one of the more better, well-rounded classes in the game when you actually learn how to play him. He has amazing self-sustained. He's got one of the best ranges in the game. About the only problem is he doesn't really have that much melee capability whatsoever because he tries to maintain his range at all times.
I can agree with you on that because I do have a friend who is playing the Archer right now, and recently when he first started, he realized that it was a hard class to play. But ever since he's been playing him a lot on PvE and getting his skill points up there, he's figuring out like the movements. He realized that the cartwheel is actually one of the best skills to actually implement when you're transitioning from, you know, his great bow to his crossbow. So
yeah, and that's, like I said, that's one of the other bigger issues of coming to learn how to play him is, like most melee classes, even though he's a range class, he's actually, very fluidly transitions between the crossbow and the great bow very easily. He's got several moves that just switch between with general ease, and there's like some of them even have no cooldown whatsoever, or at least they can be used off cooldown.
Yeah, he doesn't stop moving, just sliding across the floor consistently, and that's why I feel like he's really good for PvE, because you know most mobs you can't knock them down. If you go into high places like Histria and Star's End, places like those, you can't knock those enemies down, and the only way to evade them is really with movement. And he fits really the characteristic for movement and, you know, evading a lot. So
yeah, and combined with that in his massively, he has really good self-healing as well.
Exactly.
So it's why he has consistently been one of the better classes in the game, for especially here for PvE.
Yeah. So for the tiers that I have is S+, S-, S, A+, A, B, C, and D. So for me, I do believe that he's still up there as an S+ because of how efficiently he can grind and not worrying about getting hit. What do you think?
I agree, because like I said, even if he does get hit, he's definitely, he might not be on the level of some of the actual support characters that are healing, but he still does self-heal well enough, and because he's so ranged, he can, even if he does get hit, like I said, he gets it right back instantly. So yeah, I would actually have to agree with that. I would put him at S+ myself.
Okay, perfect. As well, for his, he doesn't have a succession, so he really
does not. As a matter of fact, if you do ever get into playing him, it's also not technically called Awakening. It's actually called Ascension.
Ascension. Oh, see, that I did not know. I did not know. Okay, that's something new. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't have an Awakening or a Succession. He has Ascension, which is basically him just having his great bow and his crossbow.
Yeah, well, because basically what happens is when he goes through Ascension, because like I said, you as soon as you're level 1, you have access to the great bow. But when you get your Ascension, a lot of your moves kind of, not only do certain moves unlock when you get your Ascension done, you also have a lot of your Awakening moves start to get their true strength values. And what I mean by that is like an example, I remember like the one move that he has called Full Bloom. It's kind of like a fanning out shotgun style move with the great bow.
Yeah.
The point right before Ascension, the level before that, it does about like 300 per arrow shot and then like 400% per, like, with the spread itself. That skyrockets up to doing about 900 to 1200% in the next level.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's just with the one upgrade, and that's its post-Ascension level.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, once you get the skills to their true strength value is when the great bow starts getting massively powerful.
I hope you're watching this, Ben, because this will be very, very useful information for you. So let's move on to the next class we have. Next is the Berserker. You can start at this one as well, Darth.
So the Berserker, my thing with the Berserker, he's actually one of the few classes that I actually have not gotten to Awakening or Succession level with. Back in the day, I've had a few times where I played him in the past. I find his pre-Awakening to be very clunky and very slow, and just dull all around. However, since then, I've actually not only played other people who are also the same, if not more. So, I honestly have all 22 characters, and I've been keeping them around anyways for the energy pools. I've been trying to expand my node empire like crazy, and I've been trying to get my knowledge up like crazy. So I just keep them around even if I end up hating the class. But I will, especially now that we have the Marnie's Suspicious device and I can make him an instant badass, I am actually going to give him a actual true try here soon, to actually give a try to its Awakening and Succession. I do. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's it called? I haven't really tried him before, but I believe his awakening is the one where he has the fist, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I always call him like Hulk? Mega Man.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because he's got like, it's basically like the same hand blaster that Mega Man uses, but you know, being that he's a giant, obviously he's like the Hulk.
That is true. That is true. I think I did see a trailer for him when he was just smashing the floor with his fist, and he used his hands as a hand cannon.
You know what? There is one thing I'll give him for his awakening specifically. He does have one move. I forget. I don't know what the name of the move is, but I know he kind of like jet propels himself. He just sits there and puts the hand blaster behind him, and rocket propels himself forward, with the exception of the LAN's Nimbus Stride. That is the single most like greatest distance covering move in the game.
Yeah, LAN.
Nimbus Stride is incredible, but second place is easily that Berserker move.
Oh, okay.
That thing gets some distance as well.
Yeah, so like I said, I never really played him before. I never really tried him. I've been told that for places, the high tier places, Acumen, Histria, Stars End, even for people on PC for Sakraya, they said you need a AP of maybe 261 when you start hitting 261 or 269 AP to actually starting to see that you're doing damage. But for certain classes, they don't really need that much AP. But for him, they said that he does. I'm not entirely sure. If anyone in the comments can let me know down below if that's true or not. But yeah, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure either. The only thing that I do know that I always find a little strange, although there are some people that are like this too, it is always seemingly that his awakening, I do hear the general consensus that his awakening is indeed the superior one.
Okay. I'm guessing because of the hand cannon.
Yeah, it's mainly because of the enhanced mobility, and the AoE sizes are just bigger and better with the awakening. Don't get me wrong though, I have heard that as per the pure damage, Succession is superior, and I actually think Succession actually has slightly better survivability with the self-healing. But as far as I've heard, as per actual clear speed, Awakening is actually superior.
Okay.
But what I've heard, you are indeed right. I've heard that a lot of people say that you do need, because of the fact that he's a really good he's got a lot of forward guards and a lot of super armors. I'll give him that, but he doesn't really have that many good self buffs other than defensive ones. As per AP increases. So I think you're right. I've heard that too, that he does need a lot more AP to get by.
Okay. So from the last tier list that I've seen, well, not seen, the last list that I've done, we had put his awakening at an A+, and since you're saying his awakening is a bit better than his succession, even though his succession does more damage, but you're saying his survivability is better, which is always the better case when it comes to grinding. You want to make sure that you're able to heal and stay at a certain spot for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it might just vary on where you're grinding at, which one's the superior one and which one you're better with. Because I know a lot of things. That's the other thing I heard a lot on. Succession is way easier to play. So a lot of people might be more inclined to play that one because it is easier to learn.
That is true. And if people don't mind, usually if you're having survivability issues for sustain, for health, I usually see people having their fairies out, just to keep the potions up, Yeah,
that's true too.
So in that case,
it does vary on a lot of situations, but it varies on the person itself. You know what? As per tier list, because of those various factors, I would even put him tied, maybe tie them at like A+ or so.
A+, okay. I'm gonna have to go with you on that one too, just because I'm not too entirely sure on the class itself. So we're just gonna keep them both at A+, and if you feel any different, guys, about the selection for the Berserker, just let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, especially if you have additional information, because it seems that we're both unaware fully on this class.
Yeah. I never really touched him. I touched probably 15 of the classes already, but just him, he's not.
I was gonna tag maybe about 2 or 3 other people before I get to him myself there. So I might get to him about a month or 2 here. Okay. So I might have additional information on him as well. But for now, yeah, I don't know much.
Yeah, we'll definitely, like, if we find any more information, we'll definitely put in the comments if new information comes up. Especially Darth, like from the last tier list, he was the main one, helping me out with some of the information that I missed for some of the classes. So if you guys have a chance, you guys can always go back to the old tier list and take a look at the PvE one, and we have some information there for you guys as well. With that being said, let's move on to the next class, which is the Dark Knight. And so far, I haven't played the Awakening for the Dark Knight. I just know she has flying swords, sort of say, with flying daggers, you want to call them. I heard she's really good for her grinding. It's really great. It's really, really good. But I've been told that her succession is just a bit better because the damage is way more. She has way more AoE, and I think she has way more super armor, so she doesn't get knocked down or stiffness easily by the enemies. Survivability, I'm not entirely sure for her survivability. I haven't really taken her to a grinding area yet, but I think she can heal pretty well. I forgot the ability name. It's where she slams the sword on the floor.
It's Lunacy of Vidia.
Yeah, that right there. I know that one heals for a good amount. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, luckily she is actually who I'm currently tagged to. I've been leveling her up here lately. I just recently got her to 60 about 2 or 3 days ago. Now that I do have all the level 60 skills, her Awakening is definitely pretty fun, especially for you Fairy Tail buffs. I've always liked to compare her to Urza. That's what her Awakening reminds me of, honestly. It feels like some kind of hidden armor that Urza just never bothered showing us. But that's what it always feels like. And now that I'm level 60, it is kind of like a constant moving, but I'm constantly moving and instantly killing this stuff. I haven't really gotten the chance to go to a higher end area. I just got to the Kama Sylvia with Montezumas though, so we'll see on how I do against them. The one thing comparably to the Succession though that I actually have not necessarily cared about the Awakening is, while almost every single one of the moves that she has actually does recover MP, it's very small amounts, like less than 2 or less than 20, I mean. And the problem is that I think it actually only works per target, not per hit.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make sure that you're hitting the full 10 targets every single time.
Every single time.
Or else,
those MP back.
Yeah, okay. Or else you're going to be draining really fast. And when you're draining fast, it just becomes a problem later on. So it just, certain areas obviously that wouldn't be a problem, but I definitely noticed, like I had that issue with the Fauduses. When I was fighting over there, they were just, because of the fact that they were all kind of still close together, but not in necessarily large groups. Yeah. I wasn't killing all of them, the full 10, and I was draining my MP way too quick, so I had to start using my auto attack to get some of my MP back.
So basically like Mantrums, because Mantrums, they come in a group of 5s and then 3s sometimes, so they're just so separated. Yeah. So you use one full combo. Okay. That makes sense.
I'm thinking I might have a problem with them actually because of the fact that, like you said, there's because of their size, they do come in smaller groups technically. So not only that, given the fact that they're the 240 AP, I feel like I might have a bit of a problem there. But her succession, though, I didn't really have that problem. I didn't really have any MP regaining problem whatsoever. It was honestly really easy to maintain her MP and her HP for that matter. Especially after I got her second. She also has the prime version of Ravage Rake turns into a healing move as well. So you get that, and Lunacy of Vidir actually starts healing a little bit better in the prime version. So it's definitely really easy to maintain her. She's not as good as some of the other ones that we've mentioned already, but she can at least get by very well.
So that for her awakening, I'm guessing you were talking about, is that correct?
Yeah, that's for maintaining herself quite well. That's more for her succession.
For her succession. Yeah, for her succession, I know for a fact she can maintain herself pretty well just because of the, like I said, the AoE. So for her succession, I would put her as a either a plus, and for her awakening, I would probably just put her as a solid A.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Especially if you can master her, and I think depending on where you're grinding specifically, I would leave her at an A. Like I said, certain areas though, I would probably drop it to like an A minus, or B plus. I forget what you said it was.
Yeah, I put her awakening as a solid A, and then her
yeah, and like I said, I would have to agree because, like I said, she's definitely good. But maybe an endgame player might disagree, because I know that both of her states, with that recent PvE update, both of them got buffed a lot. Dark Knight and MUSA were actually two of the biggest ones to get buffed.
I think Dark Knight can still gain another buff soon that's coming up soon recently too,
there's
right?
more that's coming. They're doing a bunch. They just did more in this week's Global Labs, actually. More people got more buffs, so that's why, like I said, this might be obsolete next week anyways.
Yeah, it might change. Her succession might just go to up to S minus, really, because I think it's some cooldowns that's being reduced and some damage that's being implemented. So we're gonna have to see on that. But for now, I do think her succession is an A plus, A plus S minus, and her awakening is a solid A for me.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I said, it may fluctuate with the additional possible updates, but yeah, and also, you know, your personal skill use on her, but I would have to agree with that.
So next class that we have here is the Guardian. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, a heal goddess, bro, a heal goddess. You will for PvE, amazing. The damage, the AoE, the heal for both awakening and succession.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that is the sad thing. It doesn't matter which state you use. She's a healing god, regardless of succession or awakening.
And the damage is just, oh my gosh, bro.
Yeah, and honestly, it is mostly the healing is why her damage is so good too, because she never has to duck out at all. Ever.
Nope. She can just sit there and take it.
You don't need to use potions at all. You can just heal back all the damage just fine.
Exactly, and the abilities that you use, you get it right back with the will, because almost every ability that she has provides a lot of willpower back. A lot of it. You'll be at max after using most of your abilities. And the good thing, the best thing about her is her passive that she has. And where if you use an ability, you gain back health. I think it's around 300 health per ability, or 100. I don't remember the amount, but I know for a fact when you use an ability, you gain back health, and that's her passive, and it works along with her awakening. So it's disgusting. It's disgusting the amount of like damage she can do. And I've taken her to Histria with only like 250 AP because I had tagged her with my HASHAHSHIN, and I just took her to Histria to see how good she was doing. Way better than my HASHAHSHIN. Like the only reason why my Hashashin wasn't doing as good is not because of the killing, it's the sustain. You know, Hashashin has bad sustain. So when it came to history, it was really kind of hard for me to stay there. But when I tagged the Guardian, I was farming there like it was no problem at all. It was amazing.
I actually just pulled up the thing. You are right. It's actually she gets 100 for any one-handed skill and 200 for any two-handed skill.
Two-handed skill. Okay, yeah. So it was just amazing how much healing she could just get for every ability that she uses. It was crazy. So.
Yeah, and that was my experience too. As a matter of fact, hilariously, I've heard consistently that's why a lot of people have actually left her because of that fact, because of how good she is at healing. She actually removes the challenge in this game. You literally don't have to put forth an effort to play this game.
Nothing. You go to trees, you do it by yourself. You go to Acme, you do it by yourself. You just sit there. Mobs just bring all the mobs to you. You don't even have to move from your spot. You don't have to move at all. It's ridiculous. But she is fun. She is really, really fun.
She is. About the only other negative thing I've heard, actually more so for anybody who's played anybody else and then go to her. She's very slow. She's, with the exception of Succession Nova and Awakening Valkyrie, she is definitely the slowest class in the game.
Oh, good thing we're not talking about PvP.
Yeah. Yeah, speed is not necessarily an issue in PvE.
Yeah, so for me, her Awakening and her Succession, I would have to give us either an S or S minus. For me, I feel like her Awakening belongs in the S. I'm not sure what you think, but I believe her Awakening belongs in the S. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like it does as well. Awakening was of what I played of it, it was very easy to play. Like I said, and it's just, like I said, the lack of effort that I had to put forth to actually keep her alive. And a lot of her moves were protected as well. That's the other thing. You're also just not stopping for anything either. And so you're constantly having that complete sustained combat going all the time, no matter what. So yeah, I would have to say S. Maybe certain areas you might even be able to push it to S+, honestly.
It depends on the area. But all around...
it depends on the area.
Yeah. Because you gotta remember also certain places, the one thing that hurts some classes is how certain enemies are resistant to being knocked down, stiffness, or bound or floated.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is the reason why so many certain areas do, like, you see certain people being better than other classes, because you're right, they are just resistant to certain crowd controls, and if a certain class doesn't have access to those crowd controls, then they naturally do worse.
Exactly, because it's a lot harder for them.
As a matter of fact, we mentioned it earlier, I think the Archer, either Akuma or Hysteria, I think he's still like one of the best in the game for there.
He doesn't have to by being hit. Even though they don't get knocked down, he doesn't have to worry about it because of the movement that he has, the capabilities of just jumping around enemies and evading hits and healing right after, even if he gets hit, and getting right back up and doing it all over again. And the damage output is just ridiculous for him. So, yeah. Yeah. So my next class we have here is my main man, HASHAHSHIN.
Oh wait, we forgot to mention the Succession. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had put her as I combined her both because I feel like both her Succession and Awakening are like literally the same thing. The only difference is if you're playing PvP. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing honestly that I had to say for I didn't really get the chance to try it that much at all, because that is the one thing that I feel that kind of sucks about it comparably. You need actually a ridiculous amount of skill points in order to play it even at its lowest level. I think you need about like 14, maybe even 1,500 to play it even at its lowest level.
She do have a lot of... Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. You are right about that. When when I was first starting out with, when I tagged the Guardian, she was, you know, level 0 basically, and you know, I got to like level 56 just to get her awakening, and I didn't need that much skill points for her awakening. Literally needed only about maybe 600 to 700, really.
Yeah.
And I was killing that history, like I said, easily. But for awakening, I went to succession for a little bit, and I still needed points to do the damage. I was still not doing the same amount of damage as I was in awakening.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
However, I will give her that some of those prime moves have humongous ass AoE sizes.
Oh yeah. The way she be roaring,
like honestly, some of the biggest ones in the game. Honestly,
her animations are actually really cool too. When she slams the floor, rocks come up. You see waves of rocks. It's like earthquakes, literally.
Yeah, she causes lightning earthquakes, pretty much.
If people didn't know, what I was told was that she actually transformed into a dragon in her awakening, as one of her abilities. She transformed into, or I thought it was a phoenix, but I've been told it's a dragon. So
yeah, well, because I think it's actually a phoenix in the normal version, but that move is also actually her Black Spirit Rage and Awakening.
Yeah.
So it's a phoenix in the standard version, but it converts into like a full-on dragon when it's the Black Spirit Rage version.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense then. Because I was gonna say, when I saw the trailer, that looked like a phoenix, but okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so for Awakening Succession, we have it both as solid S. If you're feeling different about it, you know, just let us know. Okay, so next class we have is the HASHAHSHIN. My number one guy, the best guy in the game. Let me stop playing, no. But he is really, really good. The only thing that I can say HASHAHSHIN lacks, the only thing, he has everything that he needs. Damage, movement, super armor, whatever you want to call it, his crowd control. He has everything, a grab, everything. The only thing he's missing is just sustain. And the thing is, he doesn't really, he doesn't really need it, but at a certain point, you're going to need it. For instance, like you can go to trees, right, with his succession. With Awakening, it's okay because he has Retribution in his Awakening that provides him, you know, a little bit of heal ticks and whatnot, and it's okay, but it doesn't provide as much heals as the other classes. So for his Awakening, it's a little bit better than his Succession, but Succession just does a lot more damage, bursts people down like it's nothing. Like Owl's Breath, when he transforms into a tornado in his Succession, it does so much more damage than his Awakening. It does so much more damage. And him turning into a tornado himself, he can't get CC'd, he can move around. He still can get hit because the enemies know which tornado to hit. You know, it's enemies AIs, but really it's, like I said, his Succession to me is actually really good for PvE. Like I believe it is an S+, like up top. As long as you can get you some potions, which you don't really need, if you can, you know, you either evade some of the hits or, you know, super armor on some of the hits or whatever. To me, I feel like he's an S+ all the way around for Succession. In Awakening, I believe he's an S just because how much time it takes or how long it takes to kill one enemy or a group of mobs.
In my experience thus far, I actually think I'd have to agree. Owl's Breath is honestly one of the strongest and most helpful moves in the game, because even if you don't turn yourself into the tornado there, and you just drop the Owl's Breath itself, and this is regardless of whether it's Succession or Awakening, that move is just so simple. It just sits there and tracks the enemies and fucks them up, and you can just sit there and evade the whole time. I did notice that too, though. He doesn't have that good of self-healing at all. And I feel as though, especially, I know when you and me were grinding over there at trees with my one buddy, he was literally you and me were just terrible with him and his SHAI, because the problem is you can't catch a sorceress or a HASHAHSHIN with the SHAI and pop that healing on us, because we're always yeah, we're teleporting around like madmen.
We can't sit in one spot, you know, like a striker or mystic or some of the other classes, and just, you know, sit there like a guardian and just, you know, just take the hits and then just heal it. We have to dodge because our healing is just not that great. So it's just best to just evade all of that.
I mean, mind you, mine's slightly better than
yours. No, yours is a whole lot better.
Barely.
A whole lot better. Yeah.
But yeah, that's. I would have to agree as per your tiering for him, though. It's like I said, I definitely did notice that too, and I'd have to say that for anybody listening. If you do want to play him, I would definitely have to say, of what I noticed for him, you do have to commit to him, because he is, like I said earlier in the video, he's one of the hardest classes to play. Even though he is newer, he quickly became realized on that fact that he's very difficult to play. His awakening, it does require a lot of his moves in pre-awakening, I noticed.
Oh yeah.
Because he does swap freely between the two.
He's like Archer, but harder, because when you're switching to his success, like to his pre-awakening, really, you're confused on what to use next. That's the thing. You're trying to figure out what to use next, because he has so much tools and equipments like for him to use, so much mix-ups. You're trying to figure out what to use next, and it's not the hard thing is not him switching over. It's really what to combo, because he's really a combo class. You don't have to just sit there, because using one ability won't kill a mob. You have to combo that ability with another ability. For instance, if you're using Purge into Owl's Dominion into Descent, something like that will just basically kill one mob, you know? But if you're using Awakening, using Piercing Fang into Owl's Dominion, you know, something like that would kill a mob. It all depends on how you play the class, and the thing that's the one thing that makes HASHAHSHIN harder, because people don't know how to do his mix up. And also one thing that people don't really know is how much skill points he needs. He doesn't need 1,000. He doesn't need. I'm not saying he doesn't. He needs more than that. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not just he needs more than 1,000. He needs more than 1,200. He needs more than 1,500 to be really good with HASHAHSHIN, Awakening, and Succession. You need literally about 1,700, maybe 1,600. I'll give you guys 1,600, but 1,700 it will be the safe zone for HASHAHSHIN. 1,700 skill points. Right now, mine is only at 1,800. And I still don't have all the skills maxed out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've even honestly heard that his awakening's even higher than that. I've heard some builds go up to closer to 19 to even 2,000. 2,000.
It is. Yeah, it's true, because the amount of because Awakening is not the only thing he can use. With HASHAHSHIN, he's always transitioning to his pre-awakening, and you're going to need that pre-awakening to make him good. You know, he's not like a guardian where you could just sit in awakening and just be fine with it. Nah, you have to switch over to the pre-awakening to combo, to use movements. He has a lot of movements in his awakening. His succession, he only has he's limited on his movement. But when you use awakening, he has a lot of movement. Teleports, 2 dashes, a lot. So so that's why I'm giving his succession a S+, because he bursts down way faster. Since we're talking about PvE, you're trying to see how fast you can kill a mob before you can move on to the next one. So definitely his succession is a S+ to me, and his awakening is a solid S, just because how long it takes to kill a mob.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that.
Yeah. Next class we have is the Kuno. You can start this one off.
The Kuno. So the Kuno, her awakening is really fun. The one that I always like to compare her to is Tira from the Soul Calibur series, because it's a giant bladed hula hoop that she just twirls around and fucks everybody up.
Beyblade. Beyblade.
Just like Tira. she's definitely, honestly, even though she's really squishy, because of the fact that the charm there has it's very versatile, honestly. It has range combat, it has melee combat, she has 360-degree spinning move, and disgustingly, that 360-degree spin move of hers is also her heal move. So she's healing while hitting everybody
Wow,
around herself.
spinning.
Yeah, while spinning around, she's healing herself. It's honestly really it's really nice though. It's I do want to give her a try here soonish, because I know that her awakening actually did get buffed in the PvE patch there a few weeks ago. So I definitely want to see one, why they even bothered doing it, because I thought it was pretty good from before. But maybe, honestly, because the thing is, even though it is, I would actually have to be, I'm more leaning towards a tier of like A+, only because of her mass squishiness. But maybe with that PvE buff, it might be even higher than that now. I'm not really sure.
I definitely agree with the A+ for Awakening. Only thing is, because I have a friend who plays the Kuno, and he says that the damage is great, everything is good, sustain is really good. It's just she lacks a lot of movement. She lacks a lot of mobility. She can't really get to a certain mob as fast as other classes. It takes her a while, a minute. And he was hoping when they gave the Awakenings a new skill, that was going to be like a sort of a new movement. But it wasn't. It was just more damage. And certain things can be done on PC than console. So when we play on console, there are certain things that we see that we cannot do on PC. For instance, like the Tamer, like flying and stuff. Yeah, so it's just, there are certain people who say Tamer's movement and Awakening, I mean, that's the Tamer, Kuno's Awakening movement, mobility is fine. But when he tries it, he does a lot of things. He mains the class, and he realized he cannot get to, you know, a certain like speed, or get to a certain next mob as fast as other classes. If you that lags him in clearing and getting trash loot fast. So
yeah, I have to agree with that too. And that's although it is mostly because we have the difference in frame rates, especially since I'm still here on the old gen system.
Yeah, Big Boy West on PS5, man.
I know, and I really do got to get one simply for this game.
Oh yeah.
I've been running into a lot of people that I know are just picking on me because they got the next gen. I know we shouldn't be cross-playing with you guys, honestly. It's an unfair advantage.
It is.
Because you guys are able to fuck us up so easily.
Easily. But I will say, there's a lot of people that I PvP a lot with, and they're still like on the PS4 Pro and PS4, which PS4 Pro is a little closer to PS5, but you guys can still keep up, but like you said, it is a lot harder. You know, you have to put in more work than what we have to. So I give you guys props, because at the end of the day, if you guys are doing certain things and you guys are still catching up to some of us, like us. I mean, because not all of us have a PS5. So when it comes to, you know, you guys having a PS4 and catching up to PS5, either in grinding, getting more gear, PvPing, especially PvP. If you're able to fuck somebody up in PvP and you have a PS4 and they have a PS5, next gen Xbox or whatever, that gives you should feel proud of yourself. Like, you should give yourself a pat on the back, because catching up to a nigga on the PS5 is a lot harder than it looks, because you desync a lot. You desyncing a lot, and you don't see where the person is going because they're too far, or they just disappear. Your PS4 can't keep up. So give you guys a lot of props.
To be honest, that actually brings me to the other thing, Kuno's Succession.
Yeah.
This bitch, of what little I tried of it, the level of iframes that she gets with her Succession is so ridiculous.
Oh, man.
And just watching her work is just a spectacle, honestly. She's more ninja than even the ninja is ninja, honestly, in her Succession. And it is just insane to watch. I also, there's another thing that when I was actually trying to look into it and try to get used to it a little bit myself, I don't have that many skill points with her right now, but her succession is actually kind of interesting. She actually has these two moves that it actually has a succession version and a prime version of the same move. And the thing is, it's actually ankle cutter and crescent slash. Both of those move, and this is actually for the ninja and the Kuno. They both had that move. They both had the succession version, but the Kuno also has the prime version of it too.
Oh.
So it's interesting the fact that you can actually, for the Kuno, choose between the succession version or the prime version.
I did not know that. That's actually that's different. That's different.
Exactly. You get the chance to actually experiment with it a little bit to see, which one you like better.
Okay.
Because
so
I know
the prime have a CC on it or something for ankle?
Well, that's the difference. They both have CCs, but the difference is the succession version. What it does is crescent slash causes floating, and ankle cutter causes knockdown. The succession version, what happens is you actually do a follow-up attack in both. So you pretty much instantly get that added extra damage. The prime versions of them, they actually both turn into gap closers. She actually pretty much ghost steps into doing crescent slash and ankle cutter.
Oh, man.
So that's why, like I said, you can either gain additional iframes or you can have an additional stronger attack.
Okay, so basically, one could be for PvP and one for PvE, because I would definitely choose the stronger attack for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking either that or maybe one or the other. Have one of them be, a gap closer and the other being full on attack. But I got to figure out which one.
All right, so
especially because it seems like less people are immune to being knocked down than floating.
So where would you really put her succession?
Oh man, it's hard to say because the thing is, of what I have played of her succession, I will give her this. It is really hard to master, and I definitely know I was nowhere near doing that.
Well, I've been told that her succession is better. So since
I think it is better too if you do learn to master it. But it is a whole lot harder to master her succession than her awakening.
So between lack of knowledge for her succession for PvE, I will give it a benefit of the doubt that she is probably a solid S. Because of how much better I heard she is in her succession, the amount of damage, and I think she has way more mobility in her succession as well. So
the only thing that comparably though that I will put down on the succession a little bit, the awakening does have the better survivability. There is better healing on the charm than her succession has.
Spin. Heal.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but you also have the pre-awakening one, which is the only one that you have in succession. It's still a heal, and it doesn't really get any better within the succession version.
So it's not a big gap that
it's not that big of a gap, but it's basically you got 2 in awakening and only the 1 in succession.
Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna just keep her succession as a S- for now. So the next class we have next is the LAHN. I call her the daughter of Kratos for her awakening.
She is. Daughter of Kratos, wife of Kratos, whatever you want to say. Especially for her awakening.
Her awakening is disgusting. At first I used to think she wasn't all that great, but fighting that class, watching clips of the class grinding, YouTubers talking about it, watching friends fight me. I can see. I fought so much LANs lately. After I did the first, After I did the
Fought one.
first PvP tier list and PvE tier list, I fought so much Lawns after. It's like they all came to attack me because of what I had said from the last tier list. And I take it all back. I take it all back. She is broken.
She is.
She is broken.
She has been broken for quite some time.
They gave her a nerf recently, and I don't see it. I don't see that nerf.
Yeah. I think they did nerf her a little, but I think a few weeks ago off Global Labs they did buff her Awakening there a little bit. So be warned on that. We think she's broken now, but
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but she is definitely. You're right. She is very overpowered. She has very good self-healing. On her burst damage is insane, honestly, for some of her moves in her Awakening. I was surprised on some of that. And like I mentioned earlier as well, and I still to this day I love that move, Nimbus Stride. That is one of the single most greatest moves in this game, period. I really enjoy jumping off of a mountain and getting down it in like 10 seconds because only the LAN can do that. It's very helpful for when you're actually climbing up mountains to, gain a knowledge point. But yeah, she's very strong with her Awakening. She's one of the only people that has the ranged grapple, which adds to her overpoweredness for 1v1. But this is for PvE, obviously.
Yeah.
Grapples aren't always as helpful in PvE as they are in 1v1s. But conveniently, though, that does still technically help you with grinding. Because if you're in a situation where you have to have territory control, well, you got a grapple waiting.
Right there with you, exactly. So I also my fault to interrupt you, but I already put both Succession and Awakening at S+. Only reason why I put her Awakening, Succession at S+ is because one, I don't really know too much about her, and from the last tier list that I did, I have two people here. One is Light Warrior, and the other one is Arkanjiru. Can't really pronounce his name, but Light Warrior said that he is a Succession, a LAN main. And that her Succession is a S+, handful abilities, destroys everything, so much damage in AoE, and is easy to use. He also says that her Awakening is A+ and not as close damage as her Succession, but her healing makes up for basically tank. So
yeah, and that's, in my experience, I would have to agree with them. What little I did play of her Succession, I think in you guys' tier list, one of you guys did say that the only negative thing that they saw with Succession is it is indeed, like, it's when you start up her moves, it's like kind of a commitment because they're really long animations. That is true. However, most of her moves actually cause CC when you initially start up the move. So you're normally knocking people down or knocking them back or something.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there taking that long animation of a move full force, down on the ground or knocked back or whatever. So, and not only that, I've seen a lot of other tier lists that, she's actually, I've seen her even above your HASHAHSHIN there, or even my Sorceress for that matter. She's consistently, her Succession is consistently labeled easily within the top 5 best grinders in the game. Like, easily.
I haven't seen it yet, but I do believe it. I do believe it. From what I've seen from that class, I can see it now. I can definitely see it. So I'm not entirely sure where to put her Awakening.
And that's, I don't know. It might go up a little bit more in the future, but I would have to agree with what that other person said.
Yeah.
Maybe an A+, or maybe even an S-, maybe, depending on your skill level.
Okay.
and depending on the future changes incoming. Because it's definitely, that's the one thing, like I said, I'll give it. It's got some crazy burst damage. She's, to this day, I've had very few classes that I've played that had more burst damage than her. But her succession is definitely has some severe sustained damage.
That's a crazy class, man. I don't want to fight them no more. I apologize if I ever, because I'm telling you, after I did the tier list for, and then I said what I said for LAN, it was just, it's like they came for my neck. I saw LANs everywhere coming for me.
I actually had a LAN come at me the other day, but accidentally fucked her up because, well, I had my Black Spirit Rage, so.
Easy.
It was, it was not technically her fault.
Alright, so the next class we have up next is the MAEHWA.
MAEHWA.
I only can give you little details for her succession, but her awakening, I'm still, I don't need a little bit of information for that as well. I've just been told that her awakening is what's called rather stationary in a way, and it only attacks in one direction, and the AoE's a little bit less than her succession.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I feel like the AoE sizes are a little bit bigger in the area of effectance, but I do feel as though she does actually indeed have more AoEs in her succession. They might not be as large as Awakening, but the fact that she has more of them at access. But you are right, and I think this is actually, if I remember correctly, with her, what little I played of her succession, regardless of which one you're choosing, she doesn't have that many 360. Most of her AoEs are frontal or conal. And it is, mind you, especially compared to her brother, whatever you hit in that area is taking way more damage compared to like the Musa. But okay. it's the fact that you have to, the thing that I always heard when I started playing mine, on like a better way to explain the MAEHWA. MAEHWA is not necessarily a hard class to learn itself. It's just what you actually have to learn is how to play the game. It's not learning how to play her, it's learning to play the game. Because you need to fully understand how to, your protection skills, your healing skills, attacking from the front, able to get around monsters and hit them all from the frontal and conal. If you learn to do that properly, she's a very good class.
Yeah, like aggroing them in a one direction to where you can hit all of them with that cone or frontal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. That makes sense.
Yeah, and especially though, both her and her brother though do make that pretty easily. Because that chase mobility move of theirs is very nice. It has it does have a cooldown. However, it does not. It can be used off cooldown.
It's stupid fast.
And regardless of whether it's on cooldown, like when it's not on cooldown, you're invincible when you initially use it. When you're using it off cooldown, you have super armor. So regardless, anytime you're using it, you're protected while you're using it. And you can do it both forward and backwards, which is why it's really helpful for especially the MAEHWA. You can sit there and chase backwards and get them from the front as they're running back to you. So I feel as though she's definitely, you got to learn to fully master chase as well to help out with playing her properly.
That's basically going out of awakening into basically a pre-awakening.
Yeah, that too. She can do pretty well though with just her awakening. She's one of the ones that can do, similar to like the Guardian. She does have a few moves that cross over into pre-awakening, like the badass Chaos Red Moon there. I think that swaps over. From if you're in Awakening, you swap over to Pre-Awakening with that.
You talking about like, is it the move where she slashes like it look like red petals or like red slashes?
Yeah, and she just disappears off the field when she does that.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah, that move. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that move swaps over if you're holding your Awakening. So like that one's obviously helpful to get that one up too, but I don't distinctly remember anything else, honestly, that was needed. Other than just because it is kind of helpful, her one Robum actually heals herself.
So where would you put her Awakening in succession?
You know what? I would actually. I feel like, honestly, they're tied for one. And I'm thinking somewhere between either, like, in between A to S minus, like solid A to S minus. But like I said, I feel as though that depends on where you're grinding, how good you are with either or.
And your skill with the class and how proficient
you are
with the class as well. Yeah, like I always say, y'all, when you guys are watching this tier list, take this as a grain of salt. This is what the experience we have with the class. Well, some of the experience that we have with the class or knowledge we have on the class. So don't take this to the heart. If you have any information that we miss, like I said, leave them down in the comments below, and we'll take a look at it. So for Awakening, you said you want to put it as a solid A or S minus.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I feel like actually thinking on, like, remembering her a little bit better, but it might be a skill point issue. I'd have to say her Awakening's A+, and then then probably solid S or solid A for her succession.
Okay.
Only because it did feel as though, especially when I got to Musa, his did just seem a little bit better compared to his sister's.
I didn't play the Musa's succession, but I did play the Awakening, and his grinding is still like one of the best to me. It's not the best, but it's like one of the best to me. So.
Yeah.
So, for Musa, well, since we're talking about Musa, we might as well just move on to him now. For Musa's Awakening. Basically the same thing as the MAEHWA, really good damage. The only thing that's different is he doesn't really hit in a cone. He actually hit in a circular, like AoE form. A bunch of fire, AoE. He's really fast. I think he does lack some, what's it called? Super armor and some of his abilities, but I think the speed that he has and the amount of damage that he can put out makes up for the super armors that he's missing. Like I said, I've only used his Awakening a couple times, and I do feel like it's a really, really good grinding class. I've seen people take him to Trees, Stars, and Ackman, the really top tier grinding places to grind with. And if you can tag him as a secondary class for PvE, I would say go for it. If you were thinking about it, I would say go for it because he is really good. He's really good. And for me, I'll give him a solid S because of how good he is. Well, for what I think. What do you think, Dart?
I think I agree too. What little I tried of it, both of the classes, he did just make it a lot easier to play because you didn't have to really learn how to play the game as compared to his sister. You just had to sit there and play him, and because of that, the Awakening was indeed ridiculously easy. You're right, a lot of his moves are really fast. Most of them hit in 360, and honestly, the only one that I can think of that didn't is a ranged move where he shoots out that little cross-cutting blade that just launches out as a projectile. So he's also got a projectile type move, which is also helpful. And if I remember correctly, I don't remember too much of a healing or even willpower issue when I was using him either. So
they have this ability, both of them, the MAEHWA and him. They have this ability. It's like the ninja. It's where like they buff themselves in a way. I forget what it is, but once they press that ability,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I forget the name.
But they just instantly recover all of their willpower.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like they're meditating or they're focusing or some shit.
I was more referring to instances where you don't even need to bother using that though.
Oh, like using ability, like the Guardian.
Yeah, just using abilities to regain your willpower, which, like I said, you are right, they do have that move, which makes it even easier to grind with those two, or sustain their willpower, I should say.
Yeah.
But it's, honestly, I don't, especially compared to his sister, I don't even think I had that issue at all with the Musa. He was able to self-maintain his just fine, honestly, with his standard awakening moves. His succession, comparably, I feel like it had less 360 degree capability. So to a degree, I feel as though that does make it a little bit lesser. However, of the area of affectance, I actually feel as though I was doing more damage than I did in Awakening. And I know his one passive that he gets in Succession is actually really nice, because it actually removes the cooldown for a couple of the flow moves of his other prime moves. So you actually can use those moves that traditionally have cooldowns. You can use them off cooldown, even though they're not allowed to. But that prime move lets you, that prime passive move lets you use it. So I thought that was really nice. Like I said, that's why I felt like I was doing more damage. I was just constantly doing kind of too much damage to kill him up, honestly. But given the fact that he did indeed not have as many 360 degrees, and what few that he did have didn't have the same range as his Crescent Glaive there, is definitely, I do feel as though it's slightly less, maybe S- to A+.
Okay. Well, I do feel like his damage is still there, because I've been told that his damage is really good. So,
yeah,
like,
it's still there, definitely.
Yeah. So most definitely I'll just keep him as an S-, because I think, like you said, the only thing he was missing was the 360 degree like AoE attacks and stuff. That way he doesn't hit as much enemies as he was in his Awakening, the Crescent. So definitely I'll keep him as an S-, because he still has everything: mobility, sustain. I think it's just that that AoE a little bit that's lessened when he goes to Succession. Is the only thing that probably affects him, just not even a lot, but just a little bit. So definitely an S- for me.
Yeah.
Next up we have is the Mystic. Mystic. Nowadays, I rarely see Awakening Mystics. Nowadays, I only see Succession.
Yeah, and you know what? The funny thing is, I feel as though I don't see, honestly, no, actually, embarrassingly, I do still see Awakening for strikers, even out in the field. And
yeah, I still see
especially then, they need to stop.
Because Succession is just stupid.
And that's, you know what, and that's why I'll try to start this off. Her Awakening is good. I'll give her that. She's one of the ones that can get by pretty easily with pretty much just her Awakening toolkit. She barely needs anything from her pre-Awakening at all. And she can do really well with just her Awakening. And it is really cool to see all the water dragons flying all over the place.
Her Awakening animation is really great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it looks really cool to watch her work. However, and like I said, we will talk about it further when we get to her brother as well. No matter, I always feel, and this is applicable to both, a Master Awakening for either one of these two cannot even beat an average Succession of their counterparts.
It's just
a Master one is there. I mean, Mystic's a little bit less. I think that's mainly given that she also maintains the difference in style a little bit with her succession. I always felt that the Mystic is a little bit more of a hit and run kind of style, whereas the Striker is far more tankier. So he can stay in the thick of things a little bit better. So her hit and run style, I feel as though she does not do as well as her brother, but it's still far superior to that of her Awakening.
Yeah, I've been told that she does a little bit less damage than the Succession Striker. I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah, and they're still both really up there. I mean, even honestly, her Succession did get buffed in the PvE patch lately, so it might have actually gone up. And you know what? I would say that her Succession would be S-, but it might be at a solid S right now. Like I said, I don't know how well that Succession increase did, because I think they were trying to make it a little bit more in line to her brother.
Yeah.
So it might be solid, and she might even be at S+ now. I'm not really sure.
Just to be on the safe side, I would just put it as a solid S- for her Succession. I mean, a solid S for her Succession, and we'll see what the community says once they watch this video. They'll let us know if it's S+ if they think it is. But just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna just keep it as an S, because I don't want to give her too much credit. And because I'm already giving her brother a lot of credit, her success, or her boyfriend,
yeah, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to give her Succession definitely a solid S, and her Awakening, I would most likely give it A+, because of just of the big difference from her Succession to Awakening. Yeah,
and you know what, I would, had they not nerfed Infinity Fortitude, I was really pissed when they did that. But I would have to agree because of that nerf. Infinity Fortitude, had that not gotten nerfed, I would almost say I would actually lean closer to S-. But the fact that now you can't actually be hurt when you're using Infinity Fortitude, it does. I mean, not that much, but still.
It can still affect her, especially at certain areas where, like History, for instance, they hit really hard. They hit really hard.
Yeah, History or Star's End, since they have the capability of decreasing your defense over there. You are sitting. Infinity Fortitude has a long animation, so you're sitting there doing that animation, not at the full 999 defense now. So, if your defense drops, you're going to be getting hurt a little bit. So, yeah, it's definitely, I would have to agree with the A+, honestly.
Sorry, Mystic Awakening, but your counterpart is better. Your Succession is better.
Yeah. You know what? And actually, before we continue, I've always found that kind of crazy. Personally, I've always felt most of the women to be
Succession
hurt. No, I find the women to actually be harder to play, but the male counterparts of them always seem to be doing more damage. Honestly, even though they're easier to play than their counterparts, I just feel as though they should buff a lot of them a lot more, only because it feels like the effort that we put forth to playing the women compared to the men is just, it's not paying off.
It's not. It's not, because if you think about it, for instance, like you just said, Striker Mystic. Mystic is a lot harder to play, but Striker does more damage and easier to play.
Same thing. Ninja Kuno, same thing.
HASHAHSHIN and Sorceress. I do believe that HASHAHSHIN is a little bit easier to play than that Sorc.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's ever so slightly easier to play than the HASHAHSHIN.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the Sorc.
Than the Sorceress.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the only in that respect, I feel like they're so close to being. They're so tied. I can't really. Those two, they really are the brother and sister of this game, honestly.
Yeah,
they're both extremely difficult, and they're both really close on doing practically the same amount of damage, regardless of which state you're using.
I forgot that move that Sorc has. Well, I'll save it for when we get to her. Let's move on to the next class, which is the ninja. Right now, I posted a video about maybe a week or 2 weeks ago about which class I should choose for my tagging, because I did tag the Guardian, but I wanted to play another class. You know, I love doing PvP. So far, the two tied characters are the DK and Ninja, and I haven't decided who I want to play, because right now I have the same amount of votes for DK and the same amount of votes for Ninja. And so far, I want to go back to the Ninja only because of how much knowledge I have on his succession. His succession is so stupid, man. It's so stupid, bro. It's stupid. I still think his awakening does way more damage, but his succession just to heal a lot. Not just a heal, a lot of heal. A lot of CCs in them, what's it called? Effects like burns, poison, pain damage, all that. He has everything in his succession. Literally, movements, everything you can ask for. He's literally, he's top tier still. I still think he's, right now to me, he's probably an S plus or solid S. And his awakening, just because it's a lot harder to play, the damage is still there. But once you master him, it's, So.
Yeah, the only thing, so between when I played him, I feel as though, well, one, his succession, I feel as though I did have fun with what little I could play of it, but his succession, I think you do indeed need a lot of skill points. And because of that, I was very limited in what I was capable of doing. But what I was able to do, it did seem really easy, especially compared to his sister. It was practically a relief, because it seems like he takes away, as we said just a moment ago, he's a lot easier to play than his sister. And it seems like it pays off because of that fact. Because I didn't have to sit there and struggle with iframes nearly as much. He does have Ninja Step, which Kuno doesn't have, so he has the additional mobility movement there. So he definitely is definitely a little bit better than his sister. Maybe even tied, though, if you Master Kuno figures it out there. But yeah, I would have to agree that maybe solid S2 and maybe even S plus, because it is definitely really there. His awakening, though, and actually I met a guy who was Ninja main from PC, though he actually traded over here to console. He actually yelled at me because I told him I preferred succession. Yeah, well, the thing is, see, he was an awakening main for Ninja, and he did just find it superior. There is one thing of what I did see between it. I do agree with what you said with succession. However, honestly, awakening is actually the better one for survivability. It actually does have the better self-healing, honestly. I think his awakening actually has 2 heals in it, and the succession I think only has the 2. So I think 1 gains healing in its prime version, so you only got that one other in pre-awakening. So it's 3 versus 2 for self-healing for his awakening version. But the one thing that I did notice for awakening that I didn't care for, a lot of the cooldowns were honestly very long. So especially I think the bigger problem was that I feel like it would have good sustained damage, honestly. But the problem is, like, when I was just killing mobs, and just sitting there killing mob to mob, the problem is I was still waiting for cooldowns, in between the mobs. So there were a few instances where all I was able to use was his move, Seamless, I think it's called. And that was it. That was the only thing I was able to do, and I just had to sit there and do that until the move would cool down. So I feel that was my only negative thing that I felt with Awakening is it's definitely had longer cooldowns. Thus, it eliminated a little bit on his capabilities. To me.
So I do see what you're saying there. With the Awakening. I also believe that once, like you said, once you have a certain amount of skill points, I don't really think the cooldowns are going to be too much of a problem because once you use
they do definitely. As a matter of fact, the one specifically that I do remember, it does. It starts at like 21 seconds, I believe. When it's fully upgraded, I think it does shoot down to like 15 seconds.
Exactly, and then from seeing how much skills he has in his pre-awakening, basically his succession. Once you're done with those awakening skills, you can just easily switch over to that pre-awakening and just do everything that you can in your pre-awakening. By the time you go right back to your awakening, you have all those skills back. So that's the one thing I can see that awakening.
Yeah, and I think that is part of the other issue is it's definitely low skill point levels that I had for the ninja. That's the problem with this game. It's kind of difficult to have any more than one main.
One main, exactly. Because
if you think I'm getting to 2,000 skill points on everybody, you're insane.
You're crazy. It is hard enough to get to 1,000.
It's hard enough to get to 2,000 on one.
Yeah, I'm still at 1,800, and I have almost 40 days, 40 game days, not 40 real life days, 40 game days on HASHAHSHIN.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I'm at like 34 myself, and 34. I'm just under 1,700.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That's yes, it is.
So getting to another character can be quite difficult. But that's why I believe where people will enjoy watching me play a different class because of how much time they know it takes one class time to build. So me getting a second main would be really interesting for another for the channel to see, who I can play. So hopefully Ninja wins. If not, then it might be DK. And if it comes down to it, we'll have. I don't know.
You said you were trying to use them for PvP though? Yeah,
PvP.
So one thing I will say, especially more so for his 1v1 capabilities, and this is another thing that sucks, obviously this will be for another video later, but I have consistently been hearing lately that sadly his awakening is 1v1 king and his succession is second 1v1 king.
Oh.
So he's actually the king twice. He's like the absolute best, no matter which state. The only difference is that an average awakening ninja could beat the shit out of anybody they feel like. You kind of do need to be a master succession ninja in order to beat anyone you feel like. That's about the only thing I've honestly heard. It's apparently it's child's play for awakening. But you do actually have to put forth a little bit of an effort.
He just has too much tools. He has too much tools to work with.
It's also and this is applicable for him and his sister actually. A lot of their moves, they actually get either additional effects or actually increase critical hit chance in PvP only.
And defense. They do increase your defense, and it is not just by a little bit. That defense, when I'm telling you, when people knocked me, when I was playing a child ninja the other day, I was getting knocked down, and I know it's a child ninja, but if you get knocked down, you're usually technically dead. You know what I'm saying? So when watching someone knock me down after using the blade that provides me a defense, it just they would try. They would get my health really low. I'll be like below half, but the difference between me getting knocked down without that buff would be like extraordinarily big, where they'll knock me down without the buff, I'm dead. I get knocked down with the buff, I still have about maybe 500, 600 health left. It was a big difference. So it seems like that those buffs really are useful. And those are without skill add-ons. This is just them themselves, their abilities themselves, the effects they have on the ability themselves. So imagine if you have skill add-ons that adds more defense or adds evasion or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like I said, he has been consistently the king for a while now.
I still think HASHAHSHIN could give him a run for his money, but you know, maybe not.
He can, but I think it's more so that if it's a master ninja, probably not. That's the only. Even if you are a master with HASHAHSHIN, it's especially for Awakening. Apparently, it's honestly just like I said. As far as I've heard, an average Awakening ninja makes child's play out of it. So imagine doing it against a master Awakening ninja.
Oof. Man. I mean, I think HASHAHSHIN is gonna go down a little bit as well because of his succession. The instant teleport, I heard he's getting a nerf, so it's
I heard that too.
So again in animation. If he's getting an animation for that, he needs to have a super armor for that, because if he can easily get knocked out of that, well, depending on how it is. But we'll talk about that another day. For now, let's move on to the next class we have is the Guardian.
Wait, Guardian, we already did her.
Oops, you know what? I saw the shield, and I'm thinking it's Guardian. I meant Nova.
Oh, Nova, yeah.
I saw the shield. You know, they both have a big shield, so
yeah, they do both have a big shield.
Yeah, I meant the Nova. The Nova. I played the Nova, and she's really fun. I'm not gonna lie, she's really quick. She has a lot of abilities. Well, in her awakening, she doesn't have that much abilities. I'm not going to lie. She has like maybe six to seven abilities that's really useful, and they hit really hard. But I feel like her succession is just broken. If I had to give them a tier right now, like where I'll put them on the tier list is Awakening to me would have to be like maybe a S-, and her succession would have to be a S+, because her succession is, you don't have to do anything. You call out your minions and you block, and everything dies. That's how I see it. That's literally how I see it.
Yeah, and that's honestly, the thing is, while I do agree with you, here and there I was noticing a lot of bugs and just flow issues. So I actually stopped playing her. When her Succession and Awakening came out, I quickly got it just to get the what do you call it? The rewards for actually getting it done. Yeah, the event rewards and whatnot, just so I could get the extra money or whatever it is that they gave us. I haven't been back to her since. However, now that we do have the Marnie's suspicious device, as well as I did finally notice that about 2 or 3 patches ago, the list of changes for her finally was, I think it was completely gone like 2 or 3 patches ago. It was finally, and that was my biggest issue, just seeing that large list of changes that she was constantly getting every patch. And you know, to me, it felt understandable, as a lot of those seemed necessary. So I didn't really give her Succession or Awakening a try at all. However, after I'm done with the Dark Knight, I was actually going to tag her next, because I do want to give her Awakening and try, because you're right, I have heard a lot of good things about it. Her Succession, I've heard that besides maybe like the Witchard, Ranger, and Archer, she's got like the best range in the game. You're right, in Succession those clones are like super strong, and Axion as well is really powerful.
Broken. Oh my god.
Especially now that they gave her the healing to help compensate Axion's existence. I've been hearing a lot of good things now that you can sustain him a whole lot better. Her Awakening, holy shit, that is the one thing that I thought was kind of crazy, because her Succession is one of the slowest things in the game. That is the one thing that kind of sucks. Her awakening, however, is one of the fastest things in the game.
Really fast. It's really fast.
Yeah, and that's why I thought it was insane. Between her succession and awakening, it's two totally different paradigms.
It goes from the slowest to the fastest.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to get used to that a lot. And the only thing, I actually can't remember whether they fixed it, and maybe someone will comment, or maybe you even know.
Yeah.
In the patches, did they ever fix, I know there was an issue that the Excel meter, when you swap back to the pre-awakening, it would actually get rid of it when you swap from your awakening. Did they fix that, or is it still a thing where you essentially have to stay in awakening?
From when I was playing the Trial Nova, I didn't realize too much on the meter really. But I don't think it did that, because there were point times where I would switch over to pre-awakening just to get some of the I don't know what her bar is, because her bar is like whitish. It's a different, it's not willpower. I don't know what kind of like bar, you know, her health bar, like under her health bar, I don't know what kind of bar that is.
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, the Excel bar should be right underneath
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right under her SP, as it's technically called for her.
Yeah, so I did not realize that bar, like going down, like, you know, like the Black Spirit bar if you were to do something with the Black Spirit. But no, I didn't really see it change. But I might be tripping. Yeah. But if anyone notices it, you know, let us know in the comments, because I wasn't
if that's indeed fixed, because I know that was an issue when her awakening first came out. I heard a lot of people complain that you pretty much were forced to play awakening, because if you swap back to pre-awakening, you would lose the Excel meter there. So if that's indeed fixed, I mean, that's the other thing between the two. I've heard that her awakening has, like you said, extreme damage, like really burst damage, which is ridiculous given the speed at which she's capable of doing it at. And her succession does definitely see a little bit more sustained, because like you said, you can just sit there and summon your pawns and they'll just fuck everything up, and all you gotta do is sit there and block.
Nothing else.
Actually, and I don't know if they fixed that too, but I was hearing stories that apparently those pawns were actually even passing through the SHAI's impenetrable wall move of hers.
Really?
Yeah, I heard apparently, which sucks, because when the SHAI uses that move, the poor SHAI actually can't move for like 5 seconds. So the pawns would just sit there and walk through and kill him.
Wow. I'm telling you, when you get stiffness by them pawns, it's disgusting.
I would imagine
it's disgusting.
Well, and then, you know what? One of the ones that I think was on PS5 that fucked me up, it was a Nova. I even see her ass. She just came out of nowhere, and I died like instantly. I was dead in under 2 seconds, honestly. I think it was definitely more so than gear score difference, honestly.
I don't even want to talk about the Nova at a grinding spot. Blood Wolves is not fun for me, my friend. First time at Blood Wolves, posted a video for that. It was not fun. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I recently did get my my first potion piece though, but it wasn't at Blood Wolves. It was at Shrekken. Yeah, Shrekken Necropolis.
Yeah, I gotta get on that stuff.
Yeah. But alright, so next class that we have, before I move on, I did put her, like I said, I did put her succession for S plus and her awakening for her S minus, just because of the difference and like the play style. Like, even though her awakening is faster, I do think that her succession just can last longer in fights.
Yeah, especially given the fact that it is a little bit tankier, and there is those opportunities where you literally don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
You can just sit there and do nothing. So yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah. So next class we have is the Ranger. I know nothing about this class entirely. I just been told that it's bad, but I've been told that it's bad, and I've been told that it's great, just if you know what you're doing. So
yeah, you know what? And this is why I mentioned that earlier when we talked about her brother.
yeah,
Yeah, the thing is, like I said before, the archer is harder to learn. However, the ranger, I actually feel as though far too many people give her too little credit on how hard it is to actually master her. Because I've actually seen a lot of community postings stating that a lot of people think that Tamer is, but I've seen a lot of people say that she is actually the evasive queen of the game. Just the number one evasive person. Having played her myself, I can honestly attest to that. Her awakening mobility move, wind step, is honestly very good. It can go forwards and backwards. And the other convenient thing is it also works as a cancel. You can actually cancel different parts of your moves, or even cancel out of your moves with wind step. So it's like incredibly evasive. Her succession version for the evasive explosion shot is honestly even more evasive because it has various flows that come from it. You can actually double up the distance of it. You can do a side jump while you're in midair. You can jump sideways. You can also do the little fanning raining shot that she does while you're using it. It's if you learn how to master her evasive capabilities, she's honestly very good. A lot better than most people give her credit for, because that's the other thing that's crazy, especially compared to her brother. When you learn how to play her, especially for succession, she does not stop firing. Her flow moves, you literally have moves that flow into moves that flow into moves that can flow back to the original move to reflow back through.
Now that you're mentioning that, I never seen anyone really play her awakening like that. I only see her succession.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's honestly, those display videos, like the little combat videos that you see, I actually get really pissed with them because in my experience, especially for succession, those display videos are bitch level compared to what she's actually capable of doing. She's, like I said, and like the instances where they're not moving or not firing something, it's like, what are you doing? Fire something, because she can fire something right now. And like I said, she's also got some of the best range in the game as well.
I think it's just sometimes the lack of the experience that they have with the class, and if they're trying to backlash the class and make it look bad when it's actually a really good class.
and that's the other problem is, honestly, she does have terrible survivability. Her awakening's the only one with a heal move at all. She has 0 in her succession. So unless you add some with skill add-ons, you have 0 healing. So you kind of have to use the potion. The problem is with that, since she has no self-healing whatsoever, is that her strength also comes, most of her moves she's also commonly referred to, and this is regardless of whether it's awakening or succession, as a shotgunner. Because you have to get up straight into people's faces and fire off your stuff, because the closer you are, the way that a lot of her damage works is that each individual arrow counts as its own separate damage. So the closer you are to the person, the more damage that they're taking. So if you get, as a matter of fact, that is one thing that I will give her, and I've seen a lot of guides to actually agree with me on this fact. World bosses, S+ easily. She is a world boss annihilator.
Jeez, I know what it is too. Moving around them like the archer, just non-stop moving, non-stop tagging.
And that's like I said, and that's why I feel like she does it slightly better than her brother because of the shotgunner. You got to think that, the fact that you have the spread, you don't have to deal with that spread because they're so big. They're getting all of that spread damage all at once on that world boss.
Jeez.
So she's, like I said, her world boss killing capability. I would highly recommend that you would consider her for your world boss alt, because she is, and especially with her high evasiveness, you don't even need the healing. Half of the time when I get hit when I'm doing world bosses with her, I haven't even needed to use one potion, honestly.
Oh man.
Because I'm just
You're not
I
getting
feel
hit.
as though, yeah, exactly. She's very evasive if you know how to use her properly, and the damage output that she's capable of doing is specifically to world bosses, because they're so huge, and the damage calculation, they're getting the full damage there. She can destroy world bosses. However, setting world bosses aside, I do have to say that because of the lack of survivability, and it is an extremely difficult, not only class to master, but she needs a ridiculous amount of skill points to master her properly. I've seen some guides say that you need anywhere, I've seen successions between about 1800 to about 2100, and her awakening I've seen anywhere between like 22 to 2500, honestly. So you need a ridiculous amount of skill points for her.
That's what I feel like with every class nowadays, that they keep on either one that like old classes, and like for succession, really succession nowadays, ever since they brought a succession, I feel like succession is like the one part of a class that needs a lot of skill points.
And that's the thing that's the crazy thing is, succession does, to initially make it better than awakening, you do need more. But the problem is, in order to start to make awakening match your succession, you need to start taking things from your pre-awakening, which start making, because your skill point cap with your awakening is always higher than succession every single time. It doesn't matter the class. Well, obviously, unless you're archer or SHAI.
It does make sense. So where would you put the Rangers tier?
Like I said, sadly, because I feel as though I do know her a little bit better than other people, and I'm sure even people who main her are probably even better than me, because they do have the higher skill point levels to actually play her a little bit better with full damage. Because of the lack of survivability, I would have to say maybe either a solid A, maybe A minus for her awakening, and then like either solid A or A plus for succession.
I will give her awakening a A plus. I mean, not awakening, her succession an A plus, because of what you told me for the world boss. Usually, if you can do that for the world boss, you can do that for grinding. Yeah. So it's like,
like I said, it definitely, you do notice a little bit of a drop, but because of the way that the damage spreads with her, it's definitely, especially for world bosses, there's no damage being spread at all. They're taking all of it. And like I said, I've seen a lot of guides say the common recommendation for a world boss alt is the Witch Zard and Ranger. That's normally the three people that I see get put on. Which, we'll talk about the Witch Zard later.
So next class we have up is the Sorc. I'll let you take this one because, this is your main, So
so this chick has consistently been, and still to this day, is one of the hardest classes to play. She's very difficult to actually not only learn how to play, but also master how to play. I feel like she's very good. She has a lot of buffs and self buffs that lets her. She's one of the ones that can fight at places a whole lot earlier than other classes, because she does have the natural, with her Shards of Darkness there, she can buff her AP 20 points for 20 seconds. And it's really easy when you fully master her to keep that applied at all times. Especially even more so for succession. For awakening, it's the bigger problem with Awakening is buff management. It is a whole lot harder to maintain your buffs because not only does she have that, she also has a critical hit rate of 40% for using Midnight Stinger that lasts for 10 seconds. But Midnight Stinger has a 2-second cooldown. So you kind of have to always maintain both the damage buff and that critical hit buff at all times. So that's where it becomes really difficult to properly play her and fight against her as well. Her one move, though, Kershin's Nightmare, is still, I feel as though it is one of the most overpowered moves in this game. I still think that today. I feel bad for every single boss that I use that on because I normally kill them before the conclusion of the move. It's a very overpowered move. No move should hit for 1400% at like over 80 hits. It's just disgusting. Her succession, it's very, they're honestly both, I feel, equally as difficult because the thing is, although buff management is a whole lot easier with succession, honestly, the MP management is a little bit harder in succession because you honestly start to get away from yourself a little bit. You're starting to do so much damage, and you kind of forget that you need MP to maintain your damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're sitting there constantly doing your combos and stuff, blowing away your MP, and she doesn't really have that many moves that actually recover her MP. And honestly, since you can maintain your Shards of Darkness ridiculously easy in succession, you constantly decide not to waste the time to reapply the actual buff, because the thing is, when you're using any of her prime moves, well, about 80% of her prime moves, it actually resets the timer on the Shards of Darkness buff. That's the reason why it's so easy to maintain it. So in succession, you're constantly having that 20 AP buff all the time.
All the time, man. That's okay. That's okay. So that's the buff. When I was at Trees, they were telling me about that buff that you get extra 20 AP, but I wasn't sure.
No, it does only work on yourself, sadly. The sorceress is very, greedy about her own damage there.
Yeah, there was 3 sorcs there, and they were saying that how everyone should like have the buff on. Like the buff on and basically be killing the trees a lot faster. But I was playing the Sasha, so I wasn't sure what they were talking about, but they were talking about themselves as having the buff.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a whole lot easier to maintain in succession. It's honestly, like I said, when you master her, it's pretty easy to maintain there for Awakening as well. But that move also, when you're using it, that's why it's kind of easier to maintain your MP in Awakening. For each shard that you use, it also recovers your MP. So when you're applying that buff, it also recovers your MP. So that's why it's a whole lot easier to maintain your MP a little bit better with Awakening. Especially, I actually threw on a skill add-on for MP regaining on Kershin's Nightmare though. And since it hits 80 times, I haven't run out of MP for a little while now on my Awakening. And succession, after you get a lot of the moves to max level, it becomes a whole lot easier. But like I said, the biggest problem is you got to remember that you have to.
So what would you put her rating?
Honestly, see, here's the one thing that I have to say negative for her. But I don't know, and that's kind of why I want to get a PS5. The thing to me is the reason why she's so difficult is she has so many iframes. A lot of her moves are canceled, or you can cancel cast times with your mobility move there. You can cancel, you can start up a combo straight from the teleport there. You can, stop a move entirely just to save yourself. So when I'm doing that stuff, though, at the fact that I'm on PS4, I constantly have, like, when I'm experiencing the lag spikes, I'm just moving faster than the game operates, and I'm constantly fucking up my own combos. So I feel as though, like, I've seen a guide before that you cannot master her unless you're at least operating at 60 frames. It's impossible. And I have to agree with that, honestly. Even though she's my main, I have to agree with it. Because there's a lot of times where I'm playing her that, you know, she
too
is...
fast in the PS4.
Yeah, exactly. I'm moving faster than the PS4 is capable of moving, so I'm messing up my own combos. However, if you are on the next-gen consoles, yeah, you're probably better than even what I feel for my own main right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the next-gen consoles, I would honestly say she's probably either solid S to S+, but given the fact that we have the less frames and thus having the frame rate issues and the iframes issues with her play style, I would actually be more inclined to say maybe A+ to S- if you're on the old-gen consoles right now.
For her succession?
For both. I honestly think they're both tied with each other. But like I said, it depends on which console you're playing on how good you're capable of doing.
You said
and
S
also
A+? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said, for you, it would probably be solid S to S+. For me, it would be A+ to S-. Because like I said, I definitely notice issues that I know if I had the next-gen systems, a lot of them would probably be eliminated, or at least less apparent, because I would be able to play her a whole lot better than I already do. And I've actually had a couple people tell me that they think I would be one scary individual if I get the next-gen. Because, yeah, a lot of people feel as though I do play the Sorceress quite well. But even though they think that, I don't think I'm playing her that well, only because I feel as though I'm limited by my frame rates.
By your frame rates. I could understand that. Okay, so yeah, I'll put them both as plus, only because you said it'd be next gen consoles, and I've seen a lot of sorcerers can get really down and dirty with that movement ability where she, I think it's invincible, is where she moves around like.
Yeah, when you teleport like that, you're invincible during the time frame that you're not on the field. And that thing, the other thing is why she's always consistently been, you know, one of the best is that thing actually has no cooldown. Well, it does. It has a 1 second cooldown, but the animation is 1 second. So
by the time you get out of it, you're into it again.
Yeah, exactly. You can endlessly. There is one thing, actually, another thing negatively I'll say for it. When we received the stamina nerf that came out last summer, that hit the sorceresses hard, like really hard.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people say that if stamina wasn't a thing for certain characters, they'll be really, really broken.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, same thing with I didn't mention earlier when we were on a Ranger as well, that it massively affected her as well. That stamina nerf, both the sorceress and stamina, or the sorceress and the Ranger are very stamina heavy. And they need a lot of stamina. And if they did, you're right. If we had like infinite stamina or something, those two would be probably untouchable. And we would, I mean, I would definitely, regardless of the system you're using, Sorceress would be S+, and I would probably raise the Ranger up too. But given the fact that stamina nerf affected them a lot, the both of them, it's definitely that I can't put either of them, you know, up as high as they used to be.
No, I understand. Okay, so next class we already have is Mystic's brother, the Striker. As we already said before, we don't even have to talk about his succession. It's already a S+. We're too much damage, too much tankiness. It's stupid. And the recommended like AP for certain areas, you don't even need to be that AP. You could be below.
Yeah,
that.
you don't.
Yeah.
That is just it's just there just for you to laugh at, honestly.
Yeah, to be honest. It's ridiculous. For his awakening, I do think it's a little bit higher than the Mystic. I'm not entirely sure. I did play his awakening before, and I just feel, yeah. Go ahead.
So here's the thing that I heard between the two of them. At lower levels, lower skill point levels, she is better. However, when you do get more skill points and you actually put forth the full commitment towards the two of them and start taking things from the pre-awakening for the both of them, he does start doing better. Because of the fact that the thing is, she's relatively already good and a badass with just her awakening skills. Like I said before earlier, she needs like relatively nothing from her pre-awakening to make her already the best she's capable of being. He needs things from his pre-awakening to be as good as her awakening. When you get those, he is definitely better than her awakening.
Wow. That's the thing. I had a feeling that was the case when it came to it. When it came to the skill points.
Yeah, basically, as far as I heard, basically she can be a badass as early as about like 1,300 skill points. Honestly, he needs about 1,600.
Oh,
between 1,600 to 1,800 to be about on the same level. But when he's at that level, he's definitely way better than the Mystic. Well, I wouldn't say not Striker Succession better, but better than his sister's away.
I think Striker's Succession is like what, maybe like the second best or the third best.
Yeah, it's one of the, it's definitely within the top 5 best ones right now. It's overpowered. It has been, and that's, you know what, and that's the other thing. Although we might get a bunch of hate speech for me saying this, I personally hated the Striker Awakening. I hated everything about it. It's actually why for the longest time, I didn't have the Striker. I didn't bother making one at all until his Succession came out. Because this is basically what happened. I seen the damage calculations for his sister there, because I already did have the Mystic. And it's like, holy shit, these are insane numbers. And so I made the Striker to see if he was the exact same, and he was. And so the moment I got him up to 56, I honestly immediately switched to Succession. I barely put forth any effort whatsoever on his awakening at all, because honestly, in my opinion, especially here for PvE, like I said before, a Master Awakening cannot even come close to average Striker. It's honestly getting a little ridiculous when I see Awakening Strikers out there at trees. Just bring your Succession. It's better. In every way.
Yeah, I probably should have thought about making a Striker, but that might be a little too late for me.
Yeah, like I said, it was nice. I definitely appreciated everything about his Succession. Right, it's that even at its lowest, I don't even have it at, high skill point levels. I still felt I was doing better than Awakening. Even at its lowest possible level, I was still doing better at Awakening at its max level.
Alright, now we got the Tamer that's up next. And
wait, I think we skipped the SHAI.
Oh, see, I don't think I have the SHAI on here, but from what most people already know, if you don't know about the SHAI, she's a really good grinder. She's a really good PvE class, but I only really see her being used mostly for just life skilling. Really, that's what I've really seen her used for. Really.
That's the hilarious thing. I was going to say that she's actually my life main. That's what I have. That's what I have. She is the life skill queen. She has been for like the whole time. So yeah, most of us do use them for a life main. However, there are a few things I would like to say if you do feel like playing a SHAI. One, she is actually ridiculously easy to get to a really high gear score. She doesn't even technically have an awakening weapon. Nope. Her soul weapon that she has, it's literally called that, soul, just SOL. She has the canon one that all of us receive when we get our awakening done, and then she gets an upgradable one. That upgradable one doesn't even abide by the same enhanceable laws of other weapons in the game, so you can get that thing to max level ridiculously easy. The other thing, and I've actually been strongly despiseful of this fact that I really hated about her, she has the absolute lowest skill point cap of anyone else in the game by a ridiculous amount. You can get every single one of her skills at max level in less than 1,200 skill points.
That's disgusting.
Yes it is.
Is it because she doesn't have an awakening?
Yeah, it's because she doesn't technically have an awakening.
Yeah.
It's all she has is the instruments, which, mind you, I still love you, Shais, though. All those buffs, debuffs that you be popping out, they're incredible. I have my one boy, he's a SHAI main, and honestly, he helps me out with trees. He's not even at a gear score worthy of being at trees, but I don't mind him coming along, because as long as he buffs and debuffs those trees, I don't give a shit.
You're good. You're good.
And like I said, that's the one thing that I've consistently hated. She's ridiculously low skill point cap. I think it's like, as a matter of fact, hang on, I got the skill builder here, because it's ridiculously low, if I'm not mistaken. Carry on, and I'll, figure this out on her full skill point cap here. But it's ridiculously low, man.
Alright, so the next class we had here is the Tamer. I only played the Tamer in battle arenas. I never really taken the Tamer to a farm or anything like that. But I've been told that her succession is a bit better than her awakening because of Howling, I think it is. I think that's the dog name that she carries around.
Yeah, I think that is the pre-awakening / succession version of it. Because she actually has another version of that in Awakening. I think that one's called Roaring. There's one that's Howling and one that's Roaring. One's in Awakening, one's in Pre-Awakening. I just always get them mixed up on which is which.
I'm not entirely sure myself. I just know she carries a dog around with her Awakening, and he does really everything for her when it comes to like really hitting things. I think he buffs in succession. I don't know about Awakening, but I know he buffs. He does a lot of CC attacks for her. He takes most of the hits for her while she does her other attacks on minions. I'm not I don't have too much information on the Tamer itself. I never really played the Tamer. I just been told that her succession is a bit better than her Awakening. When Darth gets back, we can see what he says about the Tamer.
Oh, I'm still here. I was making sure. I'm just making sure I got them all real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? And just going back slightly there. Yeah, 1143 is her skill point cap.
Okay, so then that is less than 1,200.
That's ridiculously low. Far less than any other classes can't even get to like.
And she can master damage with that amount.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why the SHAI has large capability of getting by, because she can get to a skill point cap that early. Other people can't even get to an end game that build that early. So as per the Tamer though, well, one actually counter to what we just said about the SHAI, because I haven't been saying it before, but I do know this for a fact on her. She actually has the highest skill point cap in the game, especially with the new Awakening skills and the core Awakening skills. I think she's actually just short of 2,900 for her skill point cap.
Oof.
Yeah, she is up there. She has the absolute highest skill point cap in the game. I don't even think there's anybody that even passes 2,800. Honestly, if I remember correctly, I think the only ones who even come close is the Roy and Ranger. I think they're the only other two that also really get up there over 2,700. for the two of them. But as per her fighting, I do agree with you. Her at low and high end spots, her succession is definitely pretty easy. Because you're right. All you have to do is just let Helene, which by the way, I didn't hear you if you mentioned it. That's just the name of the little summon dog.
Yeah, some dog. Yeah,
thing.
I thought it was Highling or Highling, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But at low and high end spots, all you really do need to do is use roaring or howling, whichever one it is. And that's it, because it's a 360-degree move. It causes CC.
And it does so much damage too.
Yeah, it's like one of her strongest moves as well.
Yeah.
It's very easy to grind. The only thing is, I've heard that because of that, people tend to get complacent more towards endgame grinding. That tactic no longer works at endgame grind spots, such as Hysteria, Stars and Trees and whatnot. It's just using howling doesn't really get you by anymore. So you do have to actually start using other moves.
Exactly.
And therefore, I've heard that it does have a bit of a fall off because of that. And the thing is with her awakening, and this kind of goes back to a skill point cap, her awakening needs a shitload of skill points. Most builds that I've seen are generally between about 2,400 to about, honestly, I think the highest one I've seen was almost 20. It was like 2650, I believe, was the highest one I've seen.
You guys have never seen me playing that character, man. I'm telling you, that's just too much.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Too much.
And it's a commitment, honestly. You have to commit yourself to the Tamer. And you know what? I do feel bad though, because my one buddy actually mains as Tamer. He actually feels bad when he's sitting there rolling with my sorceress, because he does feel as though that, you know, he has to put forth so much effort
more to keep up with you.
Yeah, to keep up with me, and he feels as though no matter how hard he tries, he's never going to get there. However, I actually do want to announce it here on Global Labs this week. That may end up changing, especially for Succession. Holy shit, they're actually buffing Helene's damage for PvE damage by 3 times.
That's disgusting.
That's what I said too.
Your buddy's gonna have no more problems no more.
Yeah, exactly. I instantly called up my boy and I told him, it's like, holy shit.
The answers to your prayers.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably gonna, and it might change whenever that actually gets added into the live game here. But holy shit, yeah, that might change things for sure. But as it stands right now, when I played with her, there's a few things that I know. She's definitely really squishy. But you are right. The beast there is very good at knocking people down. So at least in some instances, as long as they can be knocked down, you're not taking as much damage as you would expect, because you do have that little buddy. But it's a good thing that that's around, because she doesn't really have that much self-healing capabilities. And that's actually sadly just both for HP and MP. She does have a few MP ones here and there, but they're very, very small amounts. So you kind of have to know all of them and cycle through them. I felt like her awakening actually did, as per by herself actually, you know, for those instances of endgame fighting where you have to rely on stuff other than roaring, her awakening I actually felt was actually doing more damage for actually fighting for herself. As a matter of fact, there was a few times when the beast timed out and I didn't even notice he was missing. I was able to relatively do fine by myself. Yeah, do by myself with just the awakening. Yeah. But it might also have been, you know, the low skill point levels. Honestly, I did not have that many prime moves from her succession toolkit because she has an extremely high skill point cap. She needs a lot of skill points in order to play her properly. When I've been sitting here tagging all these characters lately, I've been getting up to like about 60 to 61 and like 1200 skill points. Honestly, that still might not be enough for the Tamer.
So, with her rating, for her succession, I'll probably give her maybe a solid A or A plus, and then for her awakening, probably a B. What do you think?
Yeah, only because of the fact that 2 out of 3 for low and high end succession does have it beat, but I do feel as though for end game awakening's a little bit better.
Okay.
But
then I'm gonna just keep them both at a solid A, just for that simple reason.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it varies on. Whereas I feel as though if you put forth the commitment to her, I feel as though they might even be able to tie with each other. But you have to put forth the effort to not only put in the skill point level effort there, but she actually also has one of the most complex combos in the game. Fully master her.
And there are just certain things you cannot do on the console. I've seen people fly with her on PC.
That too. There's I definitely do feel as though that I don't know what it is that's with the difference between us and PC, but I've seen that too. There's a lot of things that PC tamers can do that we cannot do.
Talking about that, there was also something I think it's called Sandstorm with HASHAHSHIN succession, right?
Yeah.
There were multiple times I've seen videos where people are using Sandstorm, and once he throws it out, right? He throws it out, it looks like a tornado. Once he throws it out, someone would be in it and they would just dash away to like the left side of it. He would instantly move it. I tried it so much on console, I could not do it. I could not do it. I was so confused. I was like, what am I doing wrong? But I'm just like, this might be a PC thing, because the way he moved it, you can't move it. It's impossible, because once you throw it out, it's out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he just does it straight out in front of him.
Yeah. He throws Sandstorm and then boom, ran straight to the left, like, and moved it with him. And now he was stuck in it. I was confused.
Man, if we did have such capability, man, it wouldn't be just that move. It'd be nice to do that for a few different. If
moves.
I could move my black hole there for the sorceress, that'd be.
Yeah,
nice.
You throw it out and you realize that I missed. Let me just move it to the left a little bit. Like, okay. Yeah. All right. So next class we have here is the Valk. I know that both Succession and Awakening are busted. Both have ridiculous amount of heals, a buff. That's ridiculous. Very tanky. Hits really, really, really hard. And I have a buddy of mine, his name is Rising, and he's thinking about switching to Valk, well, tagging her. And he explained to me that like he's seen a lot of people saying that she hits really, really hard to heal. And for a high end spot, she's really good for it. If you're really tanky, for places like Stars and Histria, Katuga, all those hard hitting places, if you're really tanky, it really makes it easier for you to grind, because you're not dying often, you're getting faster trash through than other classes. You know, that's why I feel like sometimes the Sasha is a little bit overwhelming when it comes to high end places when grinding. But yeah, for a place like Valk, I would say like she's really good for both her Succession and Awakening. I would give her both a solid
A. So for her Awakening, her Awakening, I definitely feel as though it's gotten stronger, especially that new Awakening move that she got added. I honestly think is unnecessary, because you can actually flow that off of Blitz Stab, which already itself had a flow. So it's kind of disgusting that you can now triple flow a massively overpowered triple stab of death. So that new awakening move definitely really helped her PvE a lot there, and you are right, especially even more so for awakening. The level of team support that she's capable of doing is insane. She's definitely, one of the best ones. There's not even that many people that do it, so the fact that she has the capability of doing it is always nice to have. And she's definitely, the fact that she's so tanky and so defensive and still able to output those supports as well for the team, it's very nice. But as per her succession, I would actually have to disagree a little bit with. However, more so of what I've heard. Honestly, after I'm done with the Nova, I was actually going to tag the Valkyrie, because the Valkyrie is one of the ones that I have not actually gotten the chance to try her succession for yet at all. So I wanted to give it a try. Her succession, though, as far as I've heard, is honestly ridiculously overpowered. That's more for PvP, but I heard she's about the only thing that can successfully survive Witchsard right now.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently because of her mass tankiness and her self-healing capabilities, she's about the only thing that can actually live those two from, being meteor stormed or whatever. Not only that, also she's actually gains additional attack speed in her succession, which is kind of insane because she was already pretty fast in her pre-awakening.
Yeah. So
the fact that she gets a little bit faster is kind of unfair. And she's really strong, honestly. I would put her more either S minus, maybe even solid S, honestly, for succession. For what I've heard about her, though, I might have a little bit better view when I actually do get around to tagging her in about 2-3 weeks here. But like I said, as far as I've heard, she's honestly really good, especially like compared to her brother. I know, and this isn't really her brother's fault though, because I know he was really overpowered when he came out, but I know that he received a lot of nerfs when his succession came out, thus dropping him. I have even heard his succession being a little bit lower than Valkyrie's, but not by much.
When you say bro, you talking about the warrior?
Yeah, they're like half brothers, brother sister kind of. You are right. They're not. They're definitely, their movesets are a little bit different than the true brother sister combos out there.
Yeah. No, but I understand what you're trying to say though.
Yeah, they're the only ones who use sword and shield.
Swords. Yep, that is true. Okay, so next class, comes up is the warrior itself, and
okay.
Yeah, for the warrior, I only know a little bit of information so far. I know in his awakening, he has a lot of heals. Well, I think he has one big heal, if I'm not mistaken. He has one big heal.
Yes, actually, disgustingly, the one big heal that he has is a 360-degree move.
Yeah.
However, the problem is
spins around.
Yeah, he spins around in a circle. The problem is that move also has a flow move. The flow move actually recovers your willpower too. So you literally never run out of hit points or willpower.
You're just healing and come back into a fight, healing and come back to. That's how I see. That's how most warriors really play. Really, they will spin, back away, come back in, spin, back away, come back in.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. That's the cooldown for it's not even that long. I think at max level it's like 6 seconds.
Yeah, and I've seen some warriors can do some disgusting things, man. Some disgusting things in an awakening. I rarely see Succession. I only see mostly Awakening.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The thing is, though, most people don't give the Succession enough credit. Honestly, especially more so for endgame spots. Succession actually normally beats out Awakening, because the thing is, that's one of the nice things. It's on the pre-Awakening, so technically Awakening can do it too. But he's got this move called Ground Roar. It's all he does is sit there and slams
the floor. Yep. I know that.
It's like the single most greatest kiting move in the game. That thing, it does like no damage whatsoever, but that's all it does. It does a little bit of damage over an incredible range, and you just sit there and kite people when they come to you. The thing is, though, I think the only major reason why I normally hear that Succession actually does end up beating, especially for grind speed, a little bit more so than Awakening. The Succession, the little gap closer that he has, that actually has a quite a good distance on it, actually is a prime version. So you can actually cover ground, and it does a tremendous amount of damage when you get to the person. So you might outright kill a group just by doing a gap closer. And the Awakening doesn't have nearly the same distance of a gap closer as his Succession does there. And I mean, like, I don't personally, in what I've tried of them, I know I've heard some people say it's better, and we might get comments, disputing this. I almost feel they're honestly tied.
Yeah, well, talking about that, sorry. We do, like I said, have another honorable mention from Shavo. He also commented on the PvE tier list that I did a couple months ago. And I just want to give out like a quick thing that he said about Succession. He says Succession is overall better than Awakening, generally due to an easier entry barrier and only needing to know one main thing, and that is how to weave lingering crit. He says it is a much more chill grind overall, and then Awakening, due to the kit being much smaller, so a lot less skills to rotate through.
And that's I would have to agree with that, because that is the problem. In order to start doing well enough at endgame levels, you need to start making your getting pre-Awakening moves. The problem with doing that is you need more skill point levels, and thus also higher knowledge on how to actually play the class. His Succession is actually ridiculously simple. It's one of the easiest things in the game. About the only ones I'd put, easier would probably be either State from the Guardian and the SHAI. That's about it. Succession Warrior is, it was honestly really, I agree. It was very chill. It was very simple to use. And even at the skill point levels I was at, it was honestly not even that bad. I think I was at about like 900 and maybe 1,000. Obviously, I'm going to push that up a bit more when I get back to him with the Marnie's Suspicious Device. But I agree. It was very chill, very laid back.
Yes, I definitely
it seemed even ridiculous, even though you are right with the 360 spin from Awakening, healing both your hit points and your willpower. That made it seem chill too, but conversely, that was the only thing you're generally doing.
Yeah. You're not really going anywhere with it, really. Like, even though it is being sustained and doing the damage, but like Shavo said, it is Succession is a little bit better than the Awakening without rotating so much of going back to Succession and to Awakening to Succession, while you can just stay Succession and just do everything in one. So
yeah, personally, I would put them both at about S minus, maybe solid S.
Yeah, I put the Succession as
just to I actually in agreement and to shout out for him. Yeah, I would maybe separate them. Maybe put Awakening S minus and then solid S for Succession.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. For Succession, I put a solid S, and Awakening is a S minus. like I said, this is like always take these as a grain of salt. This is the experience that we have with the class. So comments like these will always help me out and help us out knowing where to put certain classes for the next tier list, you know. So, you know, for things like the LAHN, I did not know when Light Warrior commented on the LAHN. It gave me a lot more knowledge. Right after that knowledge, I got a lot of ass whooping from the LAHN. So I definitely realized what was going on. But yes, definitely comment for some of the classes that you main. If you have any, like, you know, information that we missed that you want to provide us so that we miss, you know, you can just provide it for us down in the comments down below. Take a look at it. I definitely reply. And, you know, Darth is always looking at the videos and always replying to some of the comments as well. So he's always here helping me out with the channel. So definitely look out for Darthneo.
Yeah, honestly, just as a shout out too, I'm probably going to be making my own videos here soon.
Oh yeah,
so,
most definitely.
Yeah, and that's so as anyone who knows me off PlayStation there, you know, they know that I was pretty big on helping people there on the PlayStation community for this game. So I'll be making a lot of informative videos here probably in the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure when you definitely start making your videos and making your channel, you know, I'll definitely, you know, start supporting, you know, having the like community come in one, basically. You know, we're gonna be one big channel. That's how I can see it.
Honestly, it might help too. And I mean, I might be teaching you things while I'm going, and exactly. I know I'll be teaching other people. There's a lot of, because I know I taught you the thing with the temporary betterness of Novair versus Kudum.
Exactly, you did, because I did not know like at first I thought Novair was just overall better, but Novair is just basically overall better to a certain part when you have a certain AP. But once you reach a certain AP with Kudum just, you know, overall better. Yeah, it's just
yeah, pretty much. Especially, you know, for this tier list, it's technically when you get to 265, Novair's better, but when you get to 261, Kudum becomes better.
Kudum 16, yeah. So right now we're on the witch. Yep. Final two. Well, we got one honorable mention. We'll talk about him later on, but the last two that we want to talk about, get out the way right now, is the witch and wizard.
Yeah.
So for the witch,
you're right. We might as well just talk both of them.
Yeah, because they're both neck to neck. The only thing I can say is that
pretty much
they're both neck to neck. Like, I really think that I do believe that Awakening Witch is a bit better than Awakening Wizard, just a little bit better.
Especially for PvE, I would say the opposite for PvP situations. But yeah, for PvE, ever so slightly. But I don't know if enough to be in a different tier, though.
Yeah, I would literally put them both, like, Awakening at a solid S.
Yeah. Yeah, either S minus. Because, you're right. They are both ridiculously strong. Even though I think the witch does have the slightly bigger AoEs, which is why she's ever so slightly better. Yeah. But the wizard definitely does have a little bit better for debuffs, though. I'll give him that. However, conversely, witch also, I think she's ever slightly better with protected skills or spells, technically, which is disgusting. No caster should have protection.
Or a grab wizard.
Yeah.
Yo, wow. But hey, I guess. And for this succession, obviously, like,
there, you have the separate tier spot altogether, right?
Yeah. I should have put a god tier for them too, but
yeah, they are properly known as Mr. and Mrs. God.
See, just for that, let me quickly add another tier. Just because of that, let me just quickly add another tier right above that and put god tier for them. Just how hard it is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how strong these guys hit. Yo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and add that above them real quick.
Yeah, it's honestly a little bit sad. And you know what? Even the sadder thing is, they're on Global Labs a few weeks ago. They're actually planning to nerf Meteor Storm. They're actually going to remove the super armor for it. honestly, in my opinion, that's not even gonna make a fucking difference. Especially for their succession. It's because you get the instant cast for your spells. So who cares if it's not protected if you're auto casting the spell anyways? As long as you're a relative distance away, you're still gonna put it off, no problem whatsoever. Especially for PvE. It might change things for PvP a little bit.
But PvE is not gonna be no difference, really.
Yeah, not at all.
And
especially with
doubt.
the fact that, because that's the other thing that's a big problem with them is their healing. Their healing is also insane. It's with the actually they have the better burst healing, but SHAI is the only other one that even comes close to their healing capability.
That's ridiculous.
And it's just you need no potions. There are another ones. I've heard a lot of people go away from these two because of the fact that it's too easy. They're a little bit harder to learn than the Guardian, but as long as you master them, it takes no effort whatsoever. However, as a negative thing, I will say for the two of them, we just kind of drum them up as really, Mr. and Mrs. God there. Succession, though, in order to get there, needs a shitload of skill points.
Yep.
You need about between 1,800 to about 2,000, I believe, in order to use it at its max potential. But when you get there, yeah, you're going to be destroying everything in your path.
No, you don't actually, have to worry about nothing.
That's another thing, too. I know that Wizard actually is slightly better for grinding, but Witch is actually slightly better for world bosses. Because of the fact that the way that the spellcasting works, his works by teleporting, hers works by using magical evasion. So his has cooldowns, hers doesn't.
Yeah, that's why she's a bit better.
Yeah, that's why she's ever so slightly better, because she has no cooldowns to chaining her shit.
And last but not least, oh man, I appreciate you for helping me today with this tier list, man. I don't know how I was gonna do it by myself. I didn't want to do like one of those quick tier lists because I like to, go down in details between both parts. I don't want to just say one class and not, go without saying the Succession and Awakening. Yeah, go ahead.
That's why I honestly commented on you guys' stuff. Not only, I think I only seen one other console tier list, honestly. And not only that, you guys, like you said, you were fully analytical, and I did indeed appreciate that, because it is better than just doing the 30-minute videos. Honestly, I feel as though
it doesn't help. It doesn't help to really know the class.
It really doesn't. It doesn't let you know the class that much at all.
It just basically gives you a general idea of what the class is, but you don't know exactly what you're going to get yourself into. Like, for instance, if you're going to like that class, if you're going to know exactly what the class can do, if it has really good heal. You can hear good sustain. Oh yeah, the class has great sustain, but you didn't go in depth of how the sustain actually works. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like HASHAHSHIN Awakening has good sustain, but it's not great. It's not great. It's not a sustain class. Yeah, you need potions, So
that just reminded me, actually, I don't remember what video it was I was watching, but there was some video saying that it was beginners only. Classes for beginners, and Sorceress was on there.
Oh man.
I stopped watching the video at that point, obviously.
They should have most definitely watched my my PvE tier list when I was talking about the Sorceress a long time ago.
Yeah, you might. The Sorceress
is not no beginners class. No,
it's not.
No beginners class. No.
Anyways, on to the shiny new toy.
New man, Mr. Sage Man. Honestly, the only thing I can give him is really his. Like, he does a lot of damage. He does a ton amount of damage, like a ton. He does a lot of damage, and he has really fast mobility. He can, with that new awakening he just got. I think he became one of the best, like mobility classes, where he's invincible in the air. He doesn't get touched, and he can basically throw a lightning down in one direction and throw it again and teleport to the other direction. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to land at the spot he throws a lightning bolt. And
Yeah.
the one thing I just don't like really too much on his pre-awakening and his awakening is too stationary. Say if you, yeah, he does a lot of damage, but there's no one who can one-shot an enemy. And if you cannot CC an enemy, if you're stationary, it can be really crucial.
Yeah.
Really crucial.
And the major reason for that is he has, and I fully agree with what you said.
Yeah.
He has like little to no healing, and that is an extreme problem for being a caster. And the only healing he has one heal on his pre-awakening, which is honestly a really terrible heal, even at max level. He has no healing whatsoever in his succession, and he has one heal on his awakening. However, it for some reason feels inferior to even that's on the pre-awakening, even though as per the amount healed, it's actually better. And his Robum, that was actually his saving grace, I'm not gonna lie. That Robum Reconstruction Fist, that's the only thing needed to be mentioned, because that thing, the fact that it's actually able to heal us now, it did help him a lot.
A lot more. Yeah.
The only thing is, and I think I seen it actually on Global Labs that they're planning to fix it, because it was mentioned as like a bug fix. Reconstruction Fist, actually I think it was all Robums, are apparently not operating properly while you're using, like when you're transitioning from back to your pre-awakening from awakening. They're not working that well. They're not flowing properly, and I think I noticed that in what little I was trying of his awakening. However, honestly, now that we are actually operating at max damage potential, because of, you know, the 30% damage extra from the awakening damage being fed over.
Yeah.
Honestly, I see a whole lot more potential in succession. It's the fact, if you learn to play that properly, if you master Rift Chain, it's ridiculous. You can actually cancel your cast. You can use Rift Chain up to mobs. Cast that spell, and if that spell has a flow move, you can Rift Chain again to go to a completely different mob, and then use that flow afterwards.
Right.
And then you can, you know, you can do it again. As a matter of fact, the one move that has like that weird long cooldown, like a minute long or so. I used the first part of the move there, prior. And then while I was Rift Chaining, I only had like 2-second cooldown on it. When I reappeared, I used it.
So that is one thing I can give.
Too.
That is one thing I can give him. If you can cancel your abilities, then you should be fairly fine with if you know when to cancel, like, or how to cancel your abilities, you should be fairly fine with his awakening.
Yeah.
And I do think his awakening succession are fairly the same, just awakening.
Yeah,
just going
the only thing between the two of them that I will have to say negatively, though, although it's kind of weird, when I was soloing with him, I felt like solo awakening at trees was better with awakening than it was succession. But I did better at Star's End with succession than I did awakening. Because mainly due to the fact of those long animation times off of awakening. You were getting hit by those big guys. Yeah, the monsters were coming up, they were sitting there whacking me, and, you know, given his lack of healing, I could not heal myself fast enough. So honestly, between the two, like I said, and that's why it varies. On the end game spots, I feel like awakening was better at trees, but succession was better at Star's End. So
it all depends on the spot.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, though, I definitely see more potential in succession, but the thing is, I feel as though that I could have sworn Global Labs is he's getting nerfed a little bit here and there. The one nerf 2, it's actually the one flow move off of his succession. It's going to be getting like a 21-second cooldown, so that may drop his succession down quite a bit in the future.
We're just got to see and wait, and then
yeah.
All right. So, where do you think he belongs in this tier list?
Honestly, of what I personally tried out with him, I would actually almost say that he's honestly solid S, maybe even S+. Honestly, he has been doing he did very well when I tagged with him there, so I could work on the level up event and whatnot. It was honestly at first when he came out there, I didn't care for it, just because we weren't operating at the full potential for succession, and we didn't have the healing up until we got the Robums. But over time there, and now that we do have the Awakening, honestly, they're both really nice. Oh, actually, one thing I do want to mention, though, the grind difference, though. My trash loot pull over at Polly's, I did want to test the two of them against each other. They were ridiculously different. I didn't have any buffs on, but I only got like just under 49 for my trash loot pull off of Awakening. I got just over 67 there. It was ridiculously like that was a big ass gap.
Well, Awakenings are usually superior.
Yeah, and that's like I said though, because of the fact that I was doing better at trees though solo, that does tell me that Awakening is indeed doing more damage.
It's just a sustain. That's the only problem.
Yeah, but the fact that Succession definitely does have the slightly better mobility if you learn how to play it properly.
Well, so give them both a solid S. Maybe. Yeah, I might just have to give them both a solid S, maybe S+. I'm debating right now because.
Yeah. Like I said, and that's why I agree with you on the debate, honestly, because it might change. Because he is the shiny new toy, and that's a lot of people are already thinking that he's too overpowered. And if Pro Abyssa listens to that, then he might take more nerfs than even Global Labs have reported on.
We've been complaining about Wizard Succession for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you're right. People have been complaining about.
And nothing's
not
changed.
Only that, though, even Pro Abyss said, though, that they're not going to be doing that much nerfing anymore, that they're actually more inclined to be buffing to get other classes with.
Yeah, I mean, which makes sense. But I feel like they're not buffing the correct classes. I feel like Musa deserves a buff. I feel like Ranger herself deserves a buff.
I agree.
The
thing that they did add in Global Labs this week for her, though, that I'm not really sure, it may or may not buff her quite a bit, the Ranger. I'm actually definitely intrigued to test that out when it comes out.
I might. I don't know. I might try it. I'm not sure yet.
Like I said, I at least to try it out on World Boss just to see what I was talking about. Like I said,
that is true. Well, Dart, I do appreciate you coming out today. Helping out me with this tier list. And for anyone that's watching, I will be putting Dart's Discord. I don't know if you don't mind, Dart, but
I don't mind. You just put it all on there.
I'm gonna put his Discord.
YouTube's name. YouTube's actually the same name. It is actually. Like I said, I got a channel. I just don't have any videos for the game right now. But it is Darthneo. Y'all can look up my college videos and laugh at them for all the stupid requirements I had to do for college.
But I'll definitely put his Discord in the comments. That's in the comments, in the description down below. If you guys need any, if you guys want to get in contact with him. If you have console, PlayStation, I will also put his his PlayStation name if you want to get in contact with him as well. And is there anything you want to say before we end off the video, Dark?
No, not really. Like I said, the only This is definitely maybe subject to change. It might even change by the time we come out with, you know, the PvP ones in the future. That's the only thing I definitely want to specify.
All right.
Hell, my views on what I said might change too when I get around to tagging all the characters and getting them up to 1200 skill points. I might have different views myself.
We just have to see and wait. Hopefully they don't do nothing crazy, because Prohibit's been doing crazy stuff lately, like nerfing my HASHAHSHIN. I don't know for what reason, but hey, I'm gonna let it slide. Let it slide. You nerf them, it's not gonna make no difference. I'm gonna still be good.
Yeah, that's true. All you got to do is drop your tornado and just run away.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. That's all. Well, if you guys thank you guys
That's
for...
the other reason why it's a difference between our difficulty actually HASHAHSHIN and Sorceress. I actually continuously have to put forth an effort. You just drop tornadoes and run.
And run. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Alright, if you guys are new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also comment below for any information you would like to provide today. And I will be posting a lot more videos, and I've been hearing about Blade Point. I'm not sure if it's coming to console yet, but I am looking into getting into that. But that's another story for another day. So yeah, so hit the like button and subscribe button if you're new. And if you like the video, also comment down below for any information you would like to provide. And we out.
Later.
Yes, sir.